We just watched the biggest game in the history of women's basketball and it exceeded all expectations. Everything was on the line. Caitlin Clark, arguably the greatest woman to ever do it in college, faced her biggest challenge yet. Her and the Hawkeyes were on a legendary run. To get to this final, they had to go through Angel Reese and the LSU Tigers, the defending champions who beat them in the final last year. Caitlin dropped 40 to send Iowa back to the Final Four. There they went up against Paige Beckers and the stacked Yukon Huskies. The Hawkeyes found a way to steal a win there too, and in the grand finale, with everything on the line, their biggest challenge waited. The undefeated 37-0 South Carolina. This team is no joke. In the last 2 years they have lost just one game. But guess who beat them? It was the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Final Four last year. The game where Caitlin Clark made a name for herself with 40 points to end their unbeaten record. In this game, she hoped to do so again. But South Carolina were back, hoping to this time complete the perfect season and get revenge on the team who prevented them from doing so last year. For Caitlin Clark, this was a legacy game. A win would elevate her to GOAT status. A loss would put her in the category of the greatest to never win. Let's just talk about this game. The Iowa Hawkeyes came into this game hot. The first play of the game, Caitlin Clark fills a full court pass to Stokey. And look at the ball movement on the perimeter, giving up a good shot for a great shot, and first blood of the game goes to Iowa. And to start off, it wasn't about Caitlin. None of the Hawkeyes' first 5 field goal attempts were taken by her. She was involved, but she was facilitating and getting her teammates involved. She finally did get going, and it was maybe the most controversial play of the game. Caitlin getting closely guarded, blatantly two-hand shoved her defender to the ground. The referees turned a blind eye. Hannah Stokey hands it off to Caitlin, who hits perhaps the most open shot she's had all tournament. Side note, check out what Angel Reese tweeted in response to this play. I see how this game's about to go, shaking my head. She then said that she'd typed up 6 different tweets about the officials and deleted them before sending. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty confident she was suggesting that Caitlin Clark gets favourable calls. Anyways, in the early moments of this game, Iowa were flying. They were up 10-0 and South Carolina looked rattled. They finally did get their first basket of the game. As you can see, Clark defends well, but the 6'7" Kamilla Cardoso snags the offensive rebound and puts 2 up on the board for South Carolina. As you can imagine, she's going to the WNBA very soon and is a projected top 5 pick in this year's draft. We mentioned foul calls a little bit earlier. On this play, Clark on her favourite left side steps into a free ball. She misses the shot but is fouled on the play, allowing her to go and get those 3 points right back at the line. But South Carolina started growing into the game, knocks down a big shot on this play. But that didn't stop the Hawkeyes, and specifically Caitlin Clark. She takes the ball from one paint to the other, she twists and turns in the lane, looking for an opening, finds one, attacks it and banks it home. 8 consecutive points for Caitlin Clark. But if you thought she was done there, you mustn't be familiar with CC. Cardoso uses her size to get a layup for South Carolina, but do you know what's better than 2s? 3s. Caitlin Clark races down the floor and pulls up from Dame range and it's cash money. Caitlin Clark is on fire, 11 points in the first half of the first quarter. She doesn't stop there. Caitlin Clark clearly wanted the lasting image of her in that iconic number 22 Hawkeyes jersey. And speaking of jerseys, are you tired of spending $150 on jerseys? Well, you can buy them for $55 or less over at jerseysneakers.com. Over there, there's a limited buy 3 get 1 free deal. But that's not all. There's also a great selection of sneakers and shorts, and not just basketball, but all other sports as well. Shipping is available worldwide. You don't want to miss out, so click the link down below in the description. Now this is the part of the game where things start to change. Remember, South Carolina have only lost 3 of their last 110 games. Why? Because they're a great team with a lot of depth. Iowa started to tire towards the end of the first, and the second unit helped them get back into the game. This 3 right here from the freshman Johnson brought it back to within 2. Iowa's great start was all for nothing as South Carolina went on 11-2 run. They did this by crashing the boards and making defensive plays. The only person that could do anything on offense was CC. On this play, Brayhall's giving everything she's got defensively to stop Clark, going under the screen and doing a great job staying in front of her, hand in her face on the perimeter, but it didn't matter. Caitlin Clark put the moves on her, drove right and finished over Cardoso. Then again, Caitlin Clark almost overcooks this pass to the corner. She receives it right back, now one-on-one with the tallest player on the court. Caitlin has a mismatch. Most guards in this situation would try to take her off the dribble and get to the basket. Not Caitlin Clark though. She composes herself and shoots over the top of her with a hand in her face and still makes it, taking her first quarter points tally up to 18, the most ever in a single quarter in the NCAA tournament. Caitlin Clark had 40 in the Final Four against South Carolina last year, and with the way she started scoring early in this game, you wouldn't have been surprised to see her go off for 40. That was the type of night it was trending toward. A fairy tale ending for Caitlin Clark, and an all-time great performance to end her college career with a national championship. South Carolina were not about to make this easy though. They started playing to their strengths. They are the bigger, stronger, more athletic team, and they started the second quarter well. Check out Cardoso's impact in the paint. Clark bounced pass to Martin, and she's right there to stop the layup. She gets the steal. On the break you see Tiana Johnson absorb and finish through contact. Next again play down the floor, Caitlin Clark thinks she's found her teammate again for an assist, and Cardoso gets a big hand to it. Then on offense, down low in the post, she bullies her way to the basket, scores and one. All of a sudden the game is tied. On offense, Iowa are running several screens to try and get Clark a look from free. It's defended well, so Clark takes it upon herself to end the scoring drought. She drives into traffic even when there wasn't an opening. Fortunately, when she got blocked, the ball landed back in her hands, and since she's drawn them all into the paint, a Folter is open in the corner for a three, and she hits it. But when we talk about South Carolina on the offensive glass, this play sums it up right here. Phil Wiley takes a corner three, misses, gets her own rebound, misses the layup again, but Big Cardoso is down there, sweeping up, and gets another 2 points. Here again, Iowa lead by 4. Tessa Johnson has a look, doesn't hesitate and knocks it down. And it wasn't long after that South Carolina took the lead for the first time. Once again, balls dumped inside to Cardoso, and she's just too big for Hannah Stuckey, gets into position and finishes. But Hannah Stuckey, who was huge against UConn in the Final Four, is absolutely fearless. She runs a pick and roll with a Folter on this play, goes right at Cardoso, gets fouled, still scores, and goes to the line for one more. This play right here was big for the Hawkeyes, because Cardoso was in foul trouble, which opened the paint up for the final few minutes. The idea was this would give Iowa an opportunity to continue to do what was working, which is get to the basket and score easy twos. But it goes to show just how deep South Carolina are, because Hannah Stuckey gets blocked on this play. Watkins, who by the way is a heck of an athlete, finds Pow Pow the shooter for free and makes it a 1-point game. I don't know if you've noticed, but Caitlin Clark's gone a while without scoring. Defensively, they try to force her right, they can't. A great screen by Stuckey frees up Clark to step back from deep, and she gets her first points of the second quarter. It would have been a great time for Caitlin Clark to go on a run, score some points and give the Hawkeyes a boost going into halftime. Unfortunately, the complete opposite happened. Caitlin predictably tries to cross over to her left for what looked like a signature step back, but Raven Johnson read it well and got the steal. Again on this play, look at the defense. Clark gets to the basket thinking she's got a 2, but Raven Johnson gets a hand on it. Very next play on offense, Pow Pow hits another 3 and gives South Carolina the lead. And this play right here for me was a game-changing moment, psychologically especially. Iowa are down 1, there's 14 seconds left. It's almost a trial run of what could potentially be the final play of the fourth quarter. Caitlin Clark casually dribbles the ball up the floor, and Raven Johnson anticipates the crossover between the legs, picks Clark's pocket, goes the other way, finishes the layup and gives South Carolina a 3-point lead going into halftime. What happened to Caitlin Clark? She started the game on fire. She had 18 points in the first quarter. She went into halftime with just 21 points. South Carolina made some adjustments and they were working. And this play gave them all the confidence in the world going into the second half. They came out and picked up exactly where they left off. A 6-0 run to start the quarter had Iowa in real trouble. They were trailing 9 and falling behind fast. Caitlin Clark was needed now more than ever. And as the great players do, she rose to the occasion. On this play, Clark gets low on the right block. 2 bodies are waiting for her. Clark does really well not to get blocked here, and even better to make the layup without using the glass. Here again, Clark shows off her basketball IQ. She's aware of the threat she poses. She moves to the right off the dribble, sees the double coming, and finds Gabby Marshall in the corner for a big 3-pointer to cut South Carolina's lead to just 4 points. This time, Clark is trying to score on the fast break herself, but South Carolina, full of energy, are quick to get back in transition. Clark waits and has the vision to find a trailing Stocky on a cut to the basket, who turns a beautiful pass into a great assist. At this point, the momentum is starting to swing back in the Hawkeyes' favour. Clark here is fighting to get open, Johnson's defending her well, Clark takes her into the paint, spins to her right side and finishes through contact. It's a 2-point game. The Hawkeyes were under pressure and they responded with a 9-2 run. And just when Iowa needed it least, South Carolina came firing back, locking up on defense and hit 2 devastating free balls on back-to-back possessions, as Bray Hall put South Carolina back up 10 points. Tessa Johnson was lights out from 3-point range all game, and she hit another one on this play here to extend South Carolina's lead going into the fourth quarter. For Iowa, it was really now or never. To win this game, they were gonna need a miracle. Fortunately for them, they have the player capable of producing one. And on this play, Clark uncharacteristically takes a mid-range jumper, gets the friendly bounce, and brings the game back within single digits. But on the other end, Cardoso is just inevitable on the glass. Anytime Iowa force a miss, she's there cleaning up. There's a little over 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and South Carolina lead by 14 points. But if you're thinking this is where it ends, you're wrong. This game had more twists in it just yet, because a few plays later when down 12, Clark sizing up Bray Hall, creates enough separation with the cross to get her shot off, and nails a 3-pointer from the right side. Iowa get a stop defensively. Caitlin Clark lets fly from deep again. She misses, but the long rebound goes to Gabby Marshall, who knocks it down, and all of a sudden after 2 quick threes, the Hawkeyes were back in the game. Right here, Caitlin Clark's being swarmed from inbound, still passes through the defense and finds a cutting Katie Martin for a layup. The Hawkeyes had found their rhythm at the right time, and with 5 minutes left in the game, they're down only 6 points. And right here is one of the most important plays of the game. Clark's driving baseline, misplaces a bounce pass which is almost a costly turnover. Gabby Marshall hustling keeps the play alive. A floater gets the ball and drives with a full head of steam right at Cardoso, floats it up over her, it goes in and the foul. The lead is cut to 5 points with just under 3 minutes remaining. This was it. The stage was set for Caitlin Clark to do the unthinkable and lead her team to a historic comeback. Did she have one more in her? Could she go on one of those scoring tears as we've seen her do all tournament long and take her team to the finish line? The biggest possession of the ball game. A chance to make it a 1-possession game. Caitlin Clark tries to come round the screen, almost loses possession, and O'Grady stupidly tries to finish over Cardoso, who blocks the shot. Down the other end of the floor, Bray Hall pulls up in the mid-range, she misses, but it doesn't matter because you already know who's right there cleaning up to put South Carolina back up 8. South Carolina shut down any hope of a late comeback and history was made. South Carolina complete the perfect 38-0 unbeaten season. Everyone wanted Caitlin Clark to win, but you have to admit, there's no way you can say they didn't deserve it. Iowa put up a heck of a fight, but that team over there is different. and watching the game you can see why they never lose. They've got 9 players in their rotation, a roster that consists of big, strong and athletic players. They've got shooters and a bunch of players that make the right plays. Iowa, on the other hand, have one superstar and a team of players that will ride and die for her. And I understand it's college. I have to end this video being 100% honest, and I know people aren't going to like me saying this, but I think Caitlin Clark choked. Take nothing away from South Carolina's defense, but the bottom line is Caitlin Clark had 18 points in the first quarter and finished the game with 30. She scored just 12 points in the second half. Let's take a look at the efficiency. She was 5 of 7 from the field in the first and shot 5 for 21 the rest of the game. Raven Johnson deserves a lot of credit. She shut her down. Well guarded by her, Clark went 3 of 11 and scored just 7 points. In fairness to her though, she played the full game and fatigue definitely played a factor. There's no denying that she wasn't herself down the stretch, and after scoring just 5 points in the fourth quarter, she didn't come through when her team needed her most. I'm not going to say Caitlin Clark was the reason Iowa lost the game, I'm just saying she could have been the reason they won it, and she wasn't. That being said though, what chance do you have when your bench is getting outscored 36-0? When your team's getting out-rebounded 51-29 and gave up 48 points in the paint, 30 second chance points. I'm looking at those numbers and I'm surprised the game was even as close as it was. And just like that, the curtain closes. Caitlin Clark has been the main character in this movie, and this time it wasn't a happy ending. And arguably the greatest, definitely the most influential women's college basketball player of all time, will leave the collegiate game with 2 Final Four appearances and 0 championships. What I will say though, is Caitlin Clark's lasting legacy is bigger than any championship trophy. She has opened minds, brought eyes and showed people the entertainment value in women's sports. And if you want to see her win championships, you're gonna have to follow her into the WNBA. After not winning in college, best believe she'll be itching to win a title in the pros. And I'll be right here watching and covering her journey in the WNBA right here on the channel. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you all so much for 200k, and on that note it's DKM signing out. Until next time, and peace.